Hello friends, today we'll be talking about the Rowlatt Act which was passed in the year 1919. Now before we delve into the Rowlatt Act itself, let's look at the book that I refer to. I refer to this book which is by Nigel Kelly, The History and Culture of Pakistan. Okay, one of you asked me a question regarding it, so I thought of sharing it with you. Okay, if you're doing your O levels, I would recommend this book. It's the best book because it's very precise and the text is very understandable. But if you are engaged in your personal study, or you're doing your css or any other kind of a course, then you may refer to any other book that you want to. Okay, now coming back to Rowlatt Act, this act was passed in the year 1919. Now, one thing that you got to understand about history is that you cannot study any event in its individuality. I mean, you cannot just hand pick a particular event and study it. You have to look at what was happening in the background. You also have to look at what happened after that particular event in order to, develop a thorough understanding about that particular event. So if you look at Rowlatt Act, what was happening before it, we'll have to understand that. But before that, let's first understand what this Rowlatt Act actually was. It was launched in order to prevent the spread or the growth of any kind of revolutionary activity, or to curb any sort of conspiracy activities that were going on in India. Now, why were they going on? For that, we'll have to jump onto the background. Now, during that time, that is in the year 1919, the British government had passed reforms. What were those reforms called? They were called as the Montague-Chelmsford reforms, and I have made a video on it. If you want to watch, I'll give a link in the description box below. It will help you in understanding this act better. Now, why was these reforms passed? They were passed in order to win the support of the Indian people. Now, what the British actually wanted was a controlled colony. They did not want any kind of an uproar, any violent outbursts, and in order to prevent the rise of any sort of revolutionary activity or unrest, they passed an act which is called as the Rowlatt Act. They wanted to keep the people of India also happy, and for that they passed the Montague-Chelmsford reforms, so as to tell the Indian people that they were granting them some sort of participation in governing India. But at the same time, they also wanted to establish control over the entire population. Now let's look at the timeline. Now, I would recommend that whenever you are studying history, keep this sort of a timeline right in front of you while studying. This will help you understand and memorize all the events as they went on. Okay, now if you look at the first important incident that took place, it was the War of Independence, which took place in 1857. In 1885, we saw the formation of Indian National Congress. In 1905, the partition of Bengal. Excuse me for the spelling error here. Then 1906, the formation of Muslim League. 1909, monumental reforms, again to win the support of the Indian people. The British government was coming forward with a series of reforms. Like for first reforms were the monumental reforms, and then we see the coming of the Montague-Chelmsford reforms as well. Then in 1911, we see that the reversal of the partition of Bengal, meaning the partition that took place in 1905 was reversed in the year 1911. In 1914, an outbreak of the First World War in which the whole of the world was jolted, and also Great Britain. Then in 1916, a Lucknow Pact was passed, where for the first times the Muslims and the Hindus had come together. Muslim League and the Congress had come together, presented a joint set of demands to the British government. Then in 1919, the Montague-Chelmsford reforms, and now we are here, the Rowlatt Act. Now, if you look at this place, okay, the Rowlatt Act, we are standing over here. So all of this has already happened. Now, if you look at the psychology, or if you try to understand the psychology of the British government, see how much of unrest has already taken place. The 19 they are coming up with Rowlatt Act, so as to have a firmer control over the people of India. Okay, so now it will become very easy to understand and also interesting, I hope. Do you think history is boring? If you draw things like that, or you use your colorful markers and keep your favorite biscuits or chocolate in front of you while studying your chapters, it's not going to be difficult or boring at all. I can guarantee that. Okay, so coming back, in December 1917, a committee was established. There were orders, for the establishment of a committee in order to investigate what had happened, or was there, any sort of revolutionary activity taking place in India. And this committee was established by under Justice Rowlatt. So this is from where we get the name Rowlatt Act. All right. Now, this person, he reported in 1918 that yes, there was a rise in the revolutionary activities. Now, what was to be done?